Don't ever debate or try to convince an atheist that there is a God. It's a waste of time. These people have already made up in their mind that they will not believe in God. And they're looking for evidence. They're trying to make you prove something, prove that God exists. And they say that it is the burden of proof is on believers to prove that God exists. But that goes both ways. The burden of proof can also be on them to prove that he doesn't exist. But these people have already made up in their mind that they're not going to believe in God. And there's nothing you can say, point to in the Bible, no descriptions, no documents, nothing will convince these people. There's a difference between people who are curious about God and those who just flat out reject him. Those who are curious, you can talk to. They just have questions. They may be angry, they may be upset, and just don't want to trust or believe. But the atheists, like there's a guy on TikTok who says, show me your, proof or evidence that God exists. It doesn't matter what you say. He's never going to accept it. They will not accept it. It's a circular argument that goes on and on and on and on. You can't, it's like a heartbreak. It's very difficult to describe or document or write down and encapsulate the feelings of a heartbreak. And atheists, in their argument, they'll say, well, you don't really have heartbreak. You just, it's neurological or it's mental. They use scientific, philosophical, theological, math to try to make you doubt. Their only purpose is to make you doubt God. They're not seeking you to prove that there is God. That is not their objective. Their objective is to make you doubt. They are literally demonic beings who are just simply out to make people doubt God. And if you have had an experience with God, you know that God is real. If you know he's real, they cannot prove that you don't know. It's a ridiculous argument. It's simply ridiculous. It's just like telling somebody who broke their leg, that it don't hurt, or telling a woman who had a baby that it doesn't hurt. If you have not been there, there's no way possible you could know. So believe me, do not debate them. Do not get into any conversations. The scripture says that no man come unless the Father draw him. Like I said, some people are just curious and they'll come in slowly. But people who are consider themselves atheists, they are hardcore, staunch atheists. Do not debate these people. Do not argue, because they are stealing your energy and they are creating doubt in your mind. Leave them alone. If they, want to argue about, if whether or not they, and if you ask them, well, if there's no God, what is it? Are we apes? Is there just nothingness? Is there a beginning and end? They literally have no answers. None. I decided to go toe-to-toe with an atheist one day. And I said, let me play along and find out what is their theology, what is their theory of life. This person had no answer whatsoever. At least people who believe in God know that God is real. These people have no clue about any type of answer, beginning, end of life, whether or not we apes or what. I always say that if you believe that we came from apes, then when you die back to an ape, you will go. That's why there's still apes out there. But do not debate these people.